last one was terrible.
Oh no, it's happening.
I can't even hear it.
You can't hear it?
No, it's like distorted.
Oh gosh, it's so. Well, I can hear it.
I can hear it.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna sit back and listen to this for the next 30 minutes.
Is Fabian in your Chuck E. Cheese's basement right now? We're jamming. I wanna jam it with you, Amon. We have to play that through the entire duration of what we're talking about.
All right, guys. This is Rick from Tobacco Grove coming at you with another Cigars from Afar with Cole and our good buddy Ben from Drew Estate Cigars joining us live from Chicago. Ben, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Set up in my garage here. Got somewhere nice and warm to smoke with my heater out here. So sitting in this garage a lot right now.
Dude, I see that on your Instagram and everything else, man. It's been kind of crazy. Like every time I see it, I'm like, man, he's doing some really, really phenomenal work with that garage, man. It's a pretty sweet setup. It's in stages.
You know, it's still not that warm here. I'm not going to go through all this and not have somewhere nice to smoke. So,
well, I commend it because Gary smoked in his car.
Figure how many people right now are actually smoking in their garages all across the country.
Oh my God.
I mean, that, we have nice weather outside, but for the most part, it's, when it's super cold or whatever, people are smoking in the garages. It's all they can do.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even now, like on my porch, I mean, the sun goes down and you kind of feel that coolness. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's supposed to warm up here next week. So I'm hoping to be on the back deck next week instead of the garage.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, hey, man, so what's going on with Drew Estate that you want to talk about? I mean, there's a lot of, with TAA and obviously, we know what you're doing in quarantine, just
right.
for life backdrop. And,
we're trying to keep it as business as usual as much as we can right now. Obviously, none of us are on the road, so we're doing a lot of video stuff. Working the phones quite a bit, just staying in touch with my customers, seeing how everybody's doing out there, staying healthy, who can do business, who can't. We are still shipping out of Miami. We just got another container in from Nicaragua. We are shutting the factory down for 2 weeks, which pretty much everybody is down there.
Sure.
Hasn't hit Nicaragua too bad yet, but we're, taking precautions.
Sure.
We did relaunch the new Herrera TAA Toro. The relaunch of that's coming out now with TAA. And then we've got some other stuff coming. You'll probably hear from me in about June.
Ben,
is
this TAA that you mentioned now? Is this the original Miami blend, or which one is this one? Is it a new blend?
It's the Broadleaf blend. It's the same blend you guys have had before. We updated the packaging a little bit. So that, if people don't know, that was Willy Herrera's first time that JD let him play with our Broadleaf. It was the only tobacco he was never allowed to touch until that project. So it's kind of a special one for Willy. I mean, it was the first time he was able to play with that, and that's what he came up with. And it's one of my favorite blends. I've actually been smoking through a lot of them in the last 2 weeks.
Well, how did he get that clearance for Broadleaf?
I think he just got to that point where JD allowed him to play with it. I don't know the exact story there, but I just know finally he let him touch it. And in a very limited basis, that's a very small production.
Sure.
But he's done a few other Broadleaf projects since then, but that was his first. So that TAA blend's pretty special for him.
That's awesome. Phenomenal, too.
You mentioned, Ben, we talk about the Broadleaf, and that's such a core pillar of a lot of the cigars that you guys make. And I'm curious about, we've heard a lot about this past year, et cetera, about a broadleaf shortage, that there's this big broadleaf shortage and everybody's struggling with it. I'm just curious as to what your response is on Drew Estate. How has it been for you guys? Because you seem to be still putting out the same quality of tobacco.
Listen, we buy more broadleaf than probably anybody does. The broadleaf grown for us for Liga Privada. The thing people forget is that tobacco, we're doing fermentation on it from anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So we're talking about crops from 3 or 4 years ago we're just now starting to use. So it's not like we can look at, okay, this year's yields were good, we're going to see a lot of that next year. We're years ahead of that. So I do know at one point there's been some severe hail damage out in Connecticut. That does affect crops. There's some bad weather out there over the years. And I just think we're in one of those times right now where that's affected the yield for what's available to use. This actually current fermented and ready to go it's a lower yield just because of some damage around that time. We have had a decent supply of broadleaf. I mean, we definitely saw a little less on the number 9s last year, as you know. We're doing what we can with it, but we'll never rush it. If the tobacco's not ready, we don't sell it.
Right. That's pretty phenomenal. Hey, tell me about, so I mean, obviously, a lot of people are, might be a little bit more familiar with La Gran Fabrica, the factory down in Nicaragua. Kind of tell me about what Willy's doing stateside, via 8 and 11 in Miami, Florida, and
Well, Rick,
even like the Florida State, the FSG, like the Florida Sun Grown and New Tobacco. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about.
sure. Well, obviously, Willy Herrera, our master blender, came out of his mother-in-law's factory in Little Havana called El Titan de Bronze. He still is doing some projects there. He does our Herrera Esteli Miami line out of there. He is working on something new out of that factory I can't really talk about yet, but there is something he's playing with there. They are shut down during all this, but I talked to him yesterday, and he's actually got a rolling table set up in his living room. So he's still working with tobaccos as best as he can. And,
Old school.
oh, yeah, he's set up at his house with some tobacco and tables, so he's still able to mess with some stuff. But he's, once the unrest kind of calmed down in Nicaragua, he's been doing a lot more trips down there and, really getting back going at the factory.
Have we heard yet if Nicaragua is shut down as far as the factories go? Or
so we did put out the announcement that we are closing the factory for 2 weeks. The majority of the factories are down there. We always close for the Holy Week down there. We're just going to be adding another week on top of that.
That's good.
But we've already taken a lot of precautions at the factory. I mean, we've taken this very, very seriously.
Has the country shut down, or is there any word on if that's going to happen at all?
I don't know yet. There's only been a handful of cases in Nicaragua, and none of it near Esteli yet. But I have not heard. They may have made a decision, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Because I know Honduras shut down, I think, as a country for a week, and it's important for people to know that kind of
right.
When we're doing curbside to go we had a lot of people come out and support us and load up on a lot of stuff. So
that's great. I'm not going to tell people to go buy everything they want at Drew Estate now, but I mean, hey, if there's a specific cigar you want to keep an inventory in your stash, right, maybe grab a few extra right now. We don't know.
Like my hat.
Right. Old school.
It could be. I mean, that might be a cigar you might want to load up.
Right. Maybe,
Possibly. I'm not, just.
But, we're in the financial position that we can carry a pretty heavy inventory in Miami. We have a really good looking inventory right now. We did just get another big shipment in. So we should be okay for a little while.
Sure. I'm
not really too concerned on that right now. Hopefully, I'm more concerned about you guys being able to get back up and running and sell some of this stuff. So.
Well, Ben, you mentioned the Nicaraguan factory, which, I mean, I've never been there. I've seen pictures. I hear it's phenomenal. I hear it's massive.
Pictures do not do it justice.
Yeah, and you have the cigar safari that you guys do. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we've always been very interactive with our consumer base, and Cigar Safari is a big part of that. Cigar Safari is a 3-night, 4-day trip to Esteli, to our factory. I mean, there's so much that goes on down there that we show you, plus everything we do with Hoyt in Nicaragua. We do some farm tours, blending sessions. But that factory I've been to a lot of cigar factories, and that factory has an energy to it that is indescribable. We are producing 160,000 cigars a day right now.
Wow.
It's like watching a beehive. It is so, the flow of that factory is just, it blows my mind every time I'm there.
How do they keep with the quality? Because your guys' cigars, I can't think of a time where I've smoked through a bunch of different, Herrera or the FGs, et cetera, even some of the Ligas that I've felt like, the quality just isn't there. And that happens from time to time with certain companies. You find the quality just isn't quite what it used to be, et cetera. I don't see that with Drew Estate. It's
an obsession of Jonathan Drew's. I mean, we have so many quality control steps, and we're always adding in new ones. I know we just started a new little quality control thing we're doing is we're measuring the humidity of the boxes and the inserts that go into the box before we even put cigars in them. We're measuring the humidity of the wood, because that can actually affect the cigars by the time they hit your store. These little tiny steps we take to ensure that when the product arrives to you guys, it's ready to go. I mean, the amount of spot checkers we have on the factory floor, constantly smoking stuff, constantly making sure production's right. It's one of the things about that factory that I've always been the most impressed with is we can do that many cigars and they can smoke this well.
What's your go-to Drew Estate? I mean, it's a tough question because I know you like a lot of stuff.
It is hard. There's a few I smoke pretty much daily. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Herrera Esteli line. I smoke the Herrera Esteli Habano nonstop. I'm smoking the new Herrera Brazil right now, the Maduro. I'm a Herrera guy. I love the way Willy blends. I like his style. He goes for, the complexity I'm after. He's not a strength guy necessarily, but he's a flavor guy. And that's what I like to smoke.
I think that
Um,
the Herrera that you mentioned, the Herrera Esteli, the Habano, the original, right?
Yeah.
To me, and again, I want to be careful how I say this, because I do not in any way think that Cuban cigars are the end all be all, because
Right.
I think that's way overblown, way overhyped. However, if I think that cigar is very similar to what I found in quite a bit of the Cuban cigars I've smoked,
Well,
specifically that cigar.
yeah, and I mean, that's Willie's style. That's what he grew up blending, was the Cuban style of cigar for El Titan. I mean, that's always kind of what they've done. So that's his wheelhouse. So to me, is I know what you're saying. I hate to compare to Cuba,
Yeah.
but the Herrera Esteli is that old school Cubanesque style, which is to me is a medium strength, very complex blend, and he hits it out of the park that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those cigars I can smoke any time of the day. I can smoke it for breakfast, or I can smoke it as my 10th cigar of the day, and it still hits me where I want it to hit. That is actually the number one cigar smoked by any Drew Estate employee. We request more of that cigar for our personal consumption than anything in our lines.
Well, they're not going to be handing you guys Ligas out left,
No.
right? Yeah, I can't imagine. So
I will
You gotta
say,
be-
with the quarantine going on, we did get a nice little care package from the office with a couple ligas in it.
see, you know what? I
So-
like hearing that stuff, though. I
That's
love
important,
hearing that the companies are taking care of you guys. I mean, we know that there's been some turmoil, especially lately in the industry
Right.
with employees. But I like hearing that companies like that are stable. That things are, they're going out of their way to make things better for their employees.
I mean, listen, I mean, we've always said that, employees don't really get Liga Privada, but, I'm about to light up a feral pig here next. They hooked me up with that. I never get this kind of stuff. So it's amazing that the company they know we're stuck at home. They know we're all trying to do what we can do out here. They're like, we can make it a little better for you guys. What do you want out of the office?
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I know you've been putting a dent in the speaking of Herrera, the Brazilian, the blue.
You know what? I've got I think I've
Just
told
a
you
few.
this story before, but we on the cigar safari trips, you get to blend your own cigar at Drew Estate, and I've done a lot of these trips. And there was a particular blend I'd been working on for about 3 or 4 years, and then Willie handed me this cigar to smoke, and I wanted to punch him in the mouth because this is a cigar that I'd been trying to blend for 4 years. I had about 80% of the same thing he was doing on this, but he was able to. He didn't even know I was working on that cigar, but basically when he handed me this, it was like, this is the one I've been trying to make for 4 years. Thanks.
Wow.
Speaking of I got to share the story of when I wanted to punch someone from Drew Estate in the mouth.
Which time?
Well, yeah, exactly. Which time,
Not recently.
So listen, I'm just going to come out and say it because I want to talk about this. I want to talk about acid next, but
Yeah.
I'm not an acid guy. That's
All
me.
right.
I'm not an acid guy, and I know there is a ridiculous amount of people that are acid guys,
yeah.
right? So I've never smoked an acid, really, right?
Right.
So you think, how do you know you don't like it, right? I mean, you probably like it. So we're sitting at IPCPR, and all of a sudden, Fabian comes running up to me.
Pretty Fabian.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Comes running up to me, throws one of these in my mouth, and lights the son of a bitch. And it was the Candela acid. Okay,
Nice.
Cuba Candela.
yeah, exactly.
He made us both smoke it, and we were like,
And I'm not going to say I didn't like it. I actually found it to be actually quite pleasant. But yeah, that was I want to punch Fabian right in the mouth because, at that point, people don't realize through IPCPR is how many cigars a day, your palate is gone.
Oh,
right? How many
total.
cigars you smoking during the day.
plus on top of that, Rick couldn't find a ladder to, climb up to the top of to actually hit Fabian.
Right? Oh, that was when we had the bridge.
We couldn't get on the bridge. We weren't. We didn't pass the height requirement.
They wouldn't let me on the bridge.
Tell us about acid. Acid was that the first Drew Estate cigar? Was acid?
No, it was not. The first Drew Estate cigar was actually La Vieja Habana. Acid came not too far after, about 98, 99. And Acid is our biggest brand. I mean, Acid changed the industry. And like you said, you were not an Acid guy, and that's fine. We know people who are either Acid guys or they're not Acid guys.
Sure.
What the Acid brand did for the cigar industry, it had brought more new consumers to premium tobacco than anything it ever done before. We were able to reach new consumers and make new premium cigar smokers out of people that never would have gotten into it before with such an approachable brand like Acid. It's such a unique taste. You're not getting that anywhere else. And what I always tell people is you don't have to like it, but you have to respect what it did for the business.
Right.
100%.
The advertising, the artwork is phenomenal on top of it. It reaches a much needed, younger form, or like early 20s, instead of like the old school stuff that I think the
Right.
industry was really focusing on for many, many decades.
And that was always our path. As Drew Estate carved its own path. We never went by what anybody else was doing. We didn't have the Cuban heritage. We weren't those guys standing in the field with the Panama hat. There were a couple of guys from Brooklyn, and they always put their own, style into the company. JD's a big music and art guy. Hip hop has a huge influence on our company. The New York graffiti scene's got a huge influence on our company. I mean, what other company do you know that has, a team of 20 plus artists on hand in Nicaragua just to do hand painted stuff, to do graffiti, artwork, whatever we throw at them?
I think
That's
it's cool
awesome.
because with Acid, most people at our store would assume that our number one selling one, from Drew Estate is either going to be Herrera Esteli or it's going to be Liga Privada. It's not. It's Acid.
Acid.
And
Acid.
people get blown away when they find that out. It's like, no, Acid outsells everything else we do from Drew Estate. And I want to talk quickly about something without getting too deep into it because it's a little controversial with the FDA and everything like
Sure.
that. We talk about there's this misconception, and I've seen it firsthand here in Minnesota on the state level, et cetera, that it's cigars like Acid, okay, that are going to be the cigars that the youth are smoking. Youth are smoking Acid. That's what we keep hearing. And the thing is it's complete bullshit.
It's not what the data
100%
shows.
No, not at all. And
Not even close.
you even have the FDA coming out and showing the youth are not smoking premium cigars.
they're not.
Talk a little bit about that.
So, I mean, you really hit it on the head. I mean, the data shows that this is not an issue. The people that are the youthful guys are people that are smoking cigars. It's not premium. It's not infused cigars like Acid. It's, that's not ever been our target market. We've always targeted, a new smoker. Yes, for sure is great for Acid, but that could be of any age. This is an adult product. This has always been aimed at adults. And you run a retail establishment. You don't have 16-year-old kids trying to buy a $10 Acid. It's not happening out there.
100%.
They're trying to make an issue where there isn't an issue.
Correct.
And it's because it's a non-traditional product, and we don't use the F word. Our products are infused, not flavored, which is a big difference. The way we actually, infuse that tobacco with the herbs, botanicals, and oils in the Acid line, or whether it's the Tobacco Especial line, however it is, it's a different kind of thing. And this is an adult product. This is 18, well now 21 and over basically everywhere.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's, our key demographic on Acid is 35 to 45. That's who's smoking Acid. Our biggest, some of our biggest customers are military, police, firemen, and bikers.
Oh, bikers.
Wow.
Especially with, yes, absolutely.
That's with Sweet Jane.
It's mostly, and I would say, 95% of it is males that are smoking this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we have, people of all ages, demographics, legal age, smoking Acid. I've got guys in their 60s smoking Acid. I've got, mid-20s guys and girls smoking Acid. It's a cigar that you never know who's going to smoke it because it's such a unique product that you can't always pinpoint who the Acid guy is. You never know.
Right.
No.
Let's talk about FSG. I want to talk a little bit about that, and that's basically a partnership that you're doing with Jeff Borshowitz. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So Jeff grows the tobacco in Florida, something that hadn't been done in decades. Nobody had really ever grown. It's been, I don't remember when they stopped growing tobacco, but it's been a very long time. So it's a small project we do. We process the tobacco for him, do the fermentation out of it, I believe. And then Willy blended that into the Florida Sun-Grown. So that utilizes an American-grown tobacco. The price is a little higher on it, but you got an American workforce. This is not, it's going to be a little more expensive to process and actually grow. But it's got a very unique taste profile. It's unlike any other tobacco I'd had before. It reminds me a little more of some Dominican tobacco, actually. It's got a little bit of that funkiness that you can kind of get out of Dominican, you know what I mean?
Kind of that citrus type of spice.
Yeah. It's a very different profile. And then he's got the Brazilian Matafina wrapper on it, and the sweetness of that I think pairs well with the FSG. And then we did the special edition, the box press, and that actually has the broadleaf on it. So that adds that little bit richer, bolder, heavier character to the Florida Sun-Grown blend. But again, it's a smaller project.
It's lower yield too, isn't it, versus the stuff you get out of Nicaragua by quite a bit?
It's extremely low yield, yes. But yeah, I think he's got a few other people using it now, but it was originally done by us with Jeff.
Yep. Absolutely. I think there's three companies. I think it's you were the original. I think Davidoff and Fuente uses it now.
Yeah.
all very, very, very low quantities. I think you're the only one that moves in.
Drew Estate uses, we've always tried to find different tobaccos to use that other people weren't, going out of the box on, what you can do with a cigar between acid, Kentucky fire cured, using the fire cured tobacco, the Pappy Van Winkle we're doing with the barrel fermented stuff, and then the Florida tobacco, and then all the Connecticut stuff. We use a lot of US based tobacco, more so than a lot of other companies.
I can't
stuff
think
out of
of
Kentucky
another
too.
cigar company right now in our humidor that is as diverse or as committed to, I don't want to use the word experimenting, but trying to find and create so many different ways that a cigar or a tobacco can be enjoyed. And you mentioned it, the Pappy Van Winkle, the
Right.
KFCs, the Swamp Thing, we talked about acid, etc. You guys are by far the most diverse in that area.
We've never
Most
been
innovative. Yep.
We've never been afraid to push the boundaries of what you can do with tobacco. We've always done it our way. We've never looked at what anybody else is doing. It's, what are we doing? How can we do something different? And not different just for the sake of different because we see that it fits, something missing in the industry, something that isn't out there that we can grab a hold of, and just get a different profile out there. And that's what I've always liked about our lineup is we have a cigar for every palate. Steve Saka once told me when he was with our company that, we don't want to blend a cigar that everybody likes. If you're blending a cigar everybody likes, you're not blending that one product somebody loves. Right. And that has always really stuck with me because, again, people say, most people don't smoke our entire portfolio. We have such a diverse taste profile in there that, it always seems crazy to me when people say, I smoke everything you guys make. I was like, wow, you're all over the place. I love it. I want them to keep smoking it. I want them to keep buying it. But I'm like, you smoke everything. That's crazy.
Yeah. So tell me about your venture with, because a lot of people, I don't think they make the association that Hoya Nicaragua is made by Drew Estate when it's active partnership. We can talk. Yeah,
we've had a distribution agreement with Hoya since 2008 as their U.S. distributors. We also do a lot of marketing stuff with them. It's a really, really fun. What's the word for it? I'm using right now. Collaboration, I guess you'd say. I mean, it's Hoya is so traditional. They are the original Nicaraguan cigar company. They're the very first. And for such an old school company to team up with the weirdos at Drew Estate, it really shocked the industry because they're such a traditional style company and we're not. I mean, most companies don't hire guys like me. So
nobody hires guys like you. You're lucky.
Maybe start.
Tell us about the CT. The
Antonio CT, man. So
I love that cigar.
It's probably my favorite thing Hoya's making right now. It takes the Antonio blend, which we all know is a little bit bolder, a little heavier, and puts that, that creamy Connecticut on it, which the balance is surprising to me. It's harder to get a fuller bodied cigar like that and actually get the taste of that Connecticut to shine through. And they found this great balance to do a medium to full bodied cigar in the Hoya style with that creamier character to it. I'm smoking the hell out of them.
And at the price point too. I mean, my God, it's just insane. I remember I told Dr. Swank at the trade show, I'm like, thank you for making that. Yeah. Thank you for not going stronger. I know.
No, it's such a balanced product. It's got so much flavor, but like I said, that creaminess still shines through.
That's fantastic. Well, what else is going on with you in self-quarantine? Have you talked to any other reps or,
Yeah, our entire team has been very active on Microsoft Teams. We've been doing video chats all day between all the TMs and the office guys and JD, and pretty much everybody's been bouncing stuff back and forth. We did a big video last night on social media. We just unveiled a lot of the new swag that we're going to be doing once we're back on the road.
Really?
Yeah, the big hit would have been this guy. This is the new Liga Privada knife.
No! Look at that.
Yeah,
Liga Privada knife. Solid knife. This is going to be coming in the new survival kit with a flashlight and a Liga Privada backpack.
Yeah, I'm going to need that. So mark us down for 2.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got an event set up later this year, so this will be available at your event.
That's awesome.
The other big thing we're doing is we always have a special Diplomat cigar available at our events as one of our giveaways. And once we're back on the road, that's going to be the Year of the Rat.
Really?
So Year of the Rat's going to be one of the giveaway cigars at our events once I'm able to get back out there and do what I do.
Wow.
What's going to be coming soon enough?
For TAA?
What's that?
Anything for TAA we should know about?
Nothing new this year. Again, just a repackage of the Herrera. I'm sticking with that one. And then the acid Big Bang, of course, which I know you guys murder through those.
Big
Yeah.
Bang is a massive seller.
Oh, it's insane.
We're a little bolder for acid. To me, it always reminded me almost of like an infused Undercrown. It's got that boldness of Undercrown Maduro, but then the sweetness and the infusion of acid.
What infusion is that on the Big Bang? Just out of curiosity.
Couldn't tell you. It is its own thing.
Is it really?
Come on, Cole. It's a Big Bang. I mean, you watch the show.
Big Bang. That's what it is.
It's what it is.
I wasn't much for science, man. I was a numbers guy.
But outside of that, I've just been trying to keep busy in quarantine. I've been talking to a lot of my customers, the ones stuck at home, the ones trying to do curbside, and just reaching out to people. It's all I can really do right now.
Now, Ben, you're a massive horror movie nut.
I am.
Yeah, I know. Anything you recommend right now? Anything that you've seen recently that you love?
I just watched one on Netflix called The Platform, dubbed over from Spanish. It was not really a horror movie, but really, really messed up. Really enjoyed that one, but it's a twisted movie.
See, I'm the exact opposite right now because my kids, we're all here for spring break. So everything that's playing now is like Cupcake and Dino and all these kids Nickelodeon shows. I'm serious. There's an actual show called Cupcake and Dino. Like,
of course,
what in the world show is
I
that?
could have written that when I was in second grade and made millions off of that. I don't know, but I watch it and actually it's hysterical. It's hysterical.
Well, tell me about it. What is Cupcake and Dino?
It's a cupcake and a dinosaur. They're
Is it like a cartoon or is it like what are we talking here?
No, it's just you watch it. I want you to see it because I
How in the
can't.
world would I watch it?
I can't do it justice. It's great, but listen, guys, we're gonna wrap up. But I just want to thank Ben for tuning in with us, spending the time talking about Drew Estate with everybody. We're really looking forward to everything getting back to normal. Ben, you getting back on the road, getting up to see us. The event that we have scheduled up later this year. So I just want to thank you for that, Ben.
No, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys doing this. It gives me helps kill a little time out here stuck in my garage, which is awesome. And it's good to see you guys and talk to you guys. I'm excited to get back on the road. I've been joking with the rest of our crew that the best comparison I came up with is that reps basically become outdoor cats after a while, and it's really hard to stick us back inside.
You're all feral.
Get back on the road.
You're feral, yeah.
We're ready to get back out there.
Well, we appreciate it, buddy. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon, buddy, okay?
See you guys soon. Take care, guys.
My brother, take care.
Later.
Take care.